čovjek koji će nam govoriti o projektu Respect Your Mountain, odnosno poštuj svoju planinu. Tako da, Stewart, please.
Thank you. I have to apologize first because I can't speak Serbian, so I'll speak in English. Mountain Riders is a small French organization that was born in 2001. So we'll be having our 10th anniversary next year. And we have a very clear link with the Surfrider Foundation because they were picking up the rubbish on the beach. And we started doing this in the mountains 10 years ago. People would look at us really weird, like there were 5 people picking up rubbish on the ski slopes. And this still happens 10 years after. And we pick up a lot more rubbish, and I'll speak about that a bit further on. But we're also, and that makes us maybe different from other organizations, we are people that love to go skiing, snowboarding, we're on the mountain, and it's the link between those two that makes our organization what it is. That's why Mountain Riders really wants to take care of the mountain, because at the start it was maybe a selfish thing. We were just wanting to clean up the mountains to carry on skiing. So the first year, or in 2006, we picked up 9 tons of rubbish. And the year after, this is what it looks like. This is what you find on the slopes. The year after, we picked up 20 tons. And the year after, 17 tons. And in 2009, that's what it looked like. That's just one place, one resort. And if you go further, then it was 30 tons. And this year, we reached a record of 65 tons in ski resorts. That's every year. So that's more than 120 tons in the last 5 years, just on the ski slopes. And that's what you've seen. So why do we do that? Because we want to go skiing, because there's global warming. Now, if we look at the IPCC provisions, it could go up to 6 degrees in the worst case scenario. And 1.4 at the moment, but it's actually already +1 degrees in the Alps. In Switzerland and in France, we've already reached +1 degrees. But this is where it's quite difficult to explain and to understand, because it's global warming, but at the same time we get more snow, because the climate is something that's really global. And the local phenomena, the weather, can be completely different. So you can have more snow while you have global warming, and that's sometimes quite difficult to understand. But if you look a bit further than that, we're interested in what about snow conditions. And if you go for the figures, over the last 40 years, you can see that there's always been years where you have lots of snow, that's the white dots, and years where you have no snow, like here. But on average, the snow cover has gone down 40% in the last 40 years. And that's one place in France where there's usually the most snow, which means there'll always be snow, but then ski resorts might have difficulties in opening, and that's where we're interested. What you can see here, the first line here, is the number of profitable ski resorts today. And if you add 1 degree every time, then you see the number of profitable ski resorts goes down every time. So there'll always be snow, but we might not always be able to go skiing, so we have to do something about this. And if you look at the industry, well, even if the picture shows this, skis don't grow on trees. And if you go further, you can see that what's inside a ski is a lot of chemicals. And there's no such thing as a green snowboard or a green ski. Everything in there is glued together, it's metal, it's plastic, and it's not recyclable. So don't believe what people say, don't believe what you read in the media. There's no such thing as a green snowboard. And so we try to give the tools to the companies and to the people, to the companies so they can make products better, and to the people so they can buy and consume better. But you have to look at it positively. There has been positive change with global warming, and you have to keep a positive outlook, because there are too many people out there telling you don't do this, don't do that, and we always try to keep a positive side of things. We choose to have a positive communication to put the message across. So we have three aims. First of all, to inform and raise awareness of all the actors of the mountain on environmental issues. That means the professionals and the people that go there on holiday and the people that actually live there. Then we want to promote sustainable development in the mountains and help reduce greenhouse gas emissions, because they are the main impact of ski resorts, and I'll show you that a bit later. And our third aim is to provide concrete tools to reduce the impact of our winter activities. That means when a customer or when a tourist that comes on a ski slope to ask us, where can I find a green ski resort? And if a lot of people ask us that question, well, that's what happened. So we developed a guide to show people what was happening in ski resorts and how you can choose a ski resort on sustainability criteria. And we've done the same for mountain gear. You can find some guides, they're actually edited in English, and there's a few of them here, that show exactly what is happening, what brands are doing. So it enables the customers to go further than just the communication from the brands. So what we'd want to try, we always talk about sustainability. You see the three circles, it's social, economical, and economy, but it's important to think of them as the basis of a house. If you take one of those three out, the house isn't stable anymore. But there's also another view that you can look at, which is very important. You have first the planet that you need to save to be able to go further, so that people can live on it, and then you can make profit. Because the idea that we want to put across to businesses is that there's no business to be done on a dead planet. And that's a really important message. You have to save the resources that you want to use. So if we look at sustainability, what we want to try and show to companies is that there's now a consensus of global warming. So that's one of the reasons why companies should go forward. And then if you look, there's media pressure because there are articles in the press every day about global warming. So companies once again will think, I may have to take this into account. And if you look further, there are other pressures. There's just a general society pressure because the consumers are asking about organic products. What is about our energy supply? What about our health? And then you have market pressure because raw materials are being more and more expensive. We have less and less oil. There's a demand from the customer again. And then companies also need to reduce their costs, so they have to take into account these pressures. But then you have pressures from the investors, where you have new needs for environmental reporting. You have socially responsible investment funds. And all these pressures, then there are more, that bring us to explain to companies that sustainability is not a choice. It's something that you have to go for, that you have to take into account, and that will enable your company to last longer. This is where I like to speak about economic Darwinism, because it's not the biggest company that will survive, it's the one that will adapt to these new conditions. So our tools to raise awareness and talk to the general public, we have, as I said, our spring cleaning sessions. We do a lot of awareness raising in schools, and we edit the eco guides. So we have the eco guide to ski resorts, we have our Respect Your Mountains pedagogical campaign, and then we work with professionals with the eco guides again, because the guides are also about sharing best practice. A lot of companies are actually inspired by the information they find in these guides and think, I can do this too, or this is a good idea, maybe you could try it. And so we go further as well. We also have developed a carbon footprint consultancy that shows that, so that's what I was saying earlier on. The biggest footprint of a ski resort is the transport to get there. It's not the lift, and it's not anything to do with the artificial snow. So the best way to be ecological when you go skiing is to take the train or the bus, or take all your friends in your car and 5 of you in the car instead of going there alone. And our message is always the same. It's be positive and give people concrete answers as to how to reduce their impact. So it's not difficult to be an ecological skier. It's just go there in your car and be careful about what you do. So when we do awareness raising and education, we take our stalls to events. We're on the slopes probably 250 days a year. That's in the summer and in winter. Some days in winter, it's in 4 different resorts at the same time, so it's quite a lot of work. We also go into schools to teach children about global warming, about sorting their waste, and then we just do general conferences and training. I'm lucky to be invited to places like Belgrade. So it's a really good thing because you meet lots of interesting people. So we try to go further as well. So we have different pedagogical campaigns that are available for everybody to use. We make them available. They are actually, we have no rights on our documents, so that people that want to use them in schools can just copy them and use them and distribute them. And we also edit some videos that we'll watch one at the end. These videos have no rights either, so they can be distributed, copied and recopied and given anywhere in the world so that people can use them, and that's really what's important to us. It's getting the message out. So I keep talking about the eco guides, but how does it work? What we do is that we don't look at the whole life cycle of a product, like here. We don't look at every single criteria, because it would be too much work. But then it would be too simple to go look at only one criteria, like a carbon footprint. So what we choose to do is to look at different steps that are important in the life cycle of the product that help us to evaluate the actual impact of the product. What is important, though, is that we're not just an NGO that chooses to evaluate brands. We actually involve the professionals. We have governmental agencies, we have brand professionals, sustainability directors, independent designers, people from universities that come in and participate and decide which criteria we should use. And that's how we work out how the eco guides to ski resorts and to mountain gear, how these brands and companies can be evaluated.